I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. Today I'm talking about how to become a multiplying disciple. Specifically, how you need to multiply your talents in order to multiply disciples and your impact in your spiritual, financial, and personal life. All this and more on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. It was an amazing day today. I've been studying the Bible with two young men, and one is 16 years old, one's in his 30s, and it was just fantastic. They both got baptized today. I'm recording this on July 14th, 2024. It's just fantastic. I mean, to see both of them become Christians, they're both great guys. And it was so encouraging, both to me and to those involved in their lives. One person was a roommate of a disciple in the church and came out to church, and just a fantastic guy. And the other person was brought out by disciples a number of years ago, and he was actually only about 10 years old when he first started coming to church, and he just got baptized at the age of 16. He saw a baptism. We baptized a guy last month. And after the baptism, I walked up to this young man who's 16, and I just said, "Hey, what'd you think?" And he goes, "Man, I want to get baptized." And I said, "Great, let's get together." And so we got in there, and he'd been working with his cousin, who's a disciple, and I was able to just get in there with him and finish the studies along with a couple other guys. And he's just a go-getter. So, I mean, two fantastic guys. Your spirits are just, whenever you make disciples, it's awesome. It just reminds you of what you're doing, what your purpose is, what matters. And it was so encouraging. So anyway, that was my good news for today, middle of July. It's hotter than a pistol here in Tucson, but it's hotter spiritually. It's really exciting. And I want to thank you for listening to the Rob Skinner Podcast. If you feel like you're benefiting from this program, I'd like to ask you to support it with a gift. Your support enables me to multiply disciples, leaders, and churches, and inspire others to do the same through this podcast. All you need to do is go to the show notes, and there's a link to support the program. Multiply disciples by multiplying your talents. Skinner, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. My friend, Chris Bishop, gave me a really rough evaluation that later proved to be right on target. We were in high school, and he was describing my interest in so many different areas, and at the same time, I wasn't really great at any one thing. In the fall, I had tried soccer and dropped out. In the winter, I got cut from the freshman basketball team. I placed my hopes in making the spring freshman baseball team. If there was one sport I thought I was good at, I thought baseball would be the one. I bought brand new Adidas cleats. I tried my best at the tryout. One of the other guys, Jeff Martinez, laughed at me after the sprints and said, "Skinner, how'd you get so slow?" The coach told us that our names would be posted on the coach's office window if we made the team. I waited all day, sitting in classes visualizing the name Rob Skinner on that roster. When the final bell rang, I ran to the gym locker room where the coach's office was. I looked down the list of names. I thought I must be reading it too quickly. I read each name again slowly. Todd Newman, Sean Huff, Jeff Martinez, Chris Bishop. All my friends were listed. My name wasn't. I looked one more time, and then I raced to my mom's office in room E5 of the English department. She was an English teacher and department head. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I didn't make the team." I kneeled down and sobbed on her lap. On top of the humiliation of getting cut, someone stole my new cleats. I guess I wouldn't need them anyway. I've never been great at any one sport. I've been passable at a large number of sports and activities. I love to surf, scuba, play frisbee, ultimate. I've run a marathon in Tokyo. I love to backpack. I enjoy clubs and activities and served as the president of the international club and senior class president in high school. I like to write and was the editor of my high school newspaper. I always thought this lack of focused greatness was a weakness until I became a disciple of Jesus. Then I realized the gift I had been given. God's kingdom is filled with every type of person, every race, age, class, language, height, gender, interest, skill, occupation is represented in his church. When I became a true disciple and joined the fellowship of believers, I felt like a fish back in water. I was able to connect with so many people. My varied background allowed me to make connections with people from all over the world. Scott Adams talks about the importance of developing a broad array of talents in his book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. He calls it talent stacking. He writes that it's much better and more achievable to be in the top 25% in 2 or 3 or more skill or talent areas than it is to become the top 1% in any one field. He himself was a cartoonist with a background in computers and later added writing, public speaking, and hypnotism to his talent stack. The uniqueness of his talent stack makes him a unique and wealthy individual. He claims that for every person genetically gifted to master a particular field, like LeBron James, there are thousands who can combine reasonably good skills from a variety of fields and excel. Paul talks about this very thing in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19 through 23. He says, "Though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To the Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law, I became like one not having the law, though I'm not free from God's law, but am under Christ's law, so as to win those not having the law. To the weak, I became weak to win the weak. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings." Although Paul was a hardcore Jewish Pharisee by birth and training, he realized the necessity of adaptability if he was going to reach the people God had called him to reach in Acts chapter 9, verse 15 through 16, when he said, "But the Lord said to Ananias, 'Go. This man is my chosen instrument to proclaim my name to the Gentiles and their kings and to the people of Israel. I will show him how much he must suffer for my name.'" Gentiles, kings, and Jews were all part of God's purpose for Paul. Paul, who had surpassed all his peers in devotion to his Old Testament training, realized that he would have to add to his skills if he was going to be able to connect with the many who didn't share his gifts, pedigree, or background. If you want to be a multiplying disciple, multiply your talents. The people God wants you to reach very likely will be different than you. It's also important to keep expanding your skills because our economy and world is changing so quickly. If you want to be able to support yourself while reaching the lost, you'll need to stay in a permanent state of learning new skills. What kind of skills do you need to develop? Here are a few to think about. In the area of spiritual skills, first of all, knowledge of the Bible. Read the entire Bible. Get to know the Bible really well. Read through the New Testament a few times, then read through the Old Testament. Become fluent in Bible. Absolutely necessity. Also, the ability to teach someone else the gospel goes along with that. Knowing how to guide a seeker from initial interest to salvation is essential for multiplying disciples. Prayer. The ability to sit quietly and pray and meditate for, 30 minutes, 60 minutes straight, that's powerful. Fellowship. Developing the ability to make friends, set up Bible studies, encourage others, and connect with people unlike yourself. Speaking. Learn how to lead a small group discussion, to speak in front of a church audience, teach a Bible class, and preach a short lesson using scriptures, stories, and applications. These are all spiritual skills that you can learn. Life skills. In the area of money, learn how to save and invest money. Refuse to live paycheck to paycheck. Computer skills. Keep learning new skills. Never make the excuse that you're too old or you're not naturally good at technical stuff. I hear this all the time, and at times I've thought the same thing. You know what I've done? You got to memorize this scripture in Philippians 4, verse 13. I like the Jerusalem Bible translation. It says, "There is nothing I cannot master with the help of the one who gives me strength." Let me read that again. There's nothing I cannot master with the help of the one who gives me strength. Now, whenever I'm just doubting I can learn a new skill, whether it's podcasting or something else, I just think to myself, Rob, there's nothing I cannot master with the help of the one who gives me strength. I don't care if you're 75, you're struggling with how to use Microsoft Word. Philippians 4:13 says, there's nothing that you can't master with the help of the one who gives you strength. Entrepreneurship. Learn how to start a new business or a side hustle. It can be real estate, window washing, dog walking, options, I don't know. Keep looking for ways to be a tent maker like Paul was. He always had a way to support himself when the church support dried up. People skills. This is what I would consider to be the most important skill that often gets overlooked. Read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Your way with people makes all the difference in your success or failure as a fruitful and effective disciple. This unique gift of having a number of good but not great skills came in really handy when I moved to Tokyo, Japan. I was asked to develop an international ministry. This was anyone in Japan who wasn't native Japanese. We started with a handful of gaijin, or foreigners, and in a few years we had over 200 disciples from all over the world: Africa, Polynesia, Australia, England, the US, Canada, South America, China, Korea, Asia, and continental Europe. I think my interest in a broad array of people, things, and interests enabled God to use me to reach people from all over. Now, if you're a unicorn, quote unquote, a person gifted with a singular gift like Mozart or Einstein, congratulations, and may God continue to bless you. If you're like the rest of us, having moderate or average gifting, take heart. You can still live an amazing life. Cobble together your best skills and learn new ones to add to your collection. This set of talents, unique to you only, will set you apart and define you as a fruitful and multiplying disciple. Application. What one new skill, if you learned it in the next 6 months, would make the biggest difference in your life? Take a first step toward learning that skill. Read a book, watch a YouTube video, or go to a seminar to learn how to do it. Finally, what are your top 3 best skills currently? How can God use that cocktail of talents to build his kingdom where you're at right now? Thanks for listening. Here's how you can help support the program. First, let your friends know about it. Secondly, read and review one of my books, How to Plant and Grow a Church, or Courage, How to Make This Life Count. You can find both of them on Amazon.com. Finally, support the program with a gift today. The link is in the show notes, because my goal is to inspire you to make this life count, live a no-regrets life, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day, and make this life count.